weekly table talk. Once again, we're always blessed to have so many wonderful guests join us each and every week to talk about their respective ministries, their respective programs, their own joys and sorrows in the midst of pandemic and COVID-19. Today we are very blessed to have with us Gerry Nickells and her granddaughter Kenna Nickells, who drove here, thank you audience, who drove all the way from Dripping Springs to be with her grandma as part of this conversation and dialogue. So once again, Gerry, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having both of us.
You're welcome. So you are renowned for flowers.
Yes.
And flower ministry.
Yes.
And prior to volunteering at the church as a Teresian, you had a full-time professional business.
Yes.
With the flower industry.
Yes.
Please share with us your professional background working with the flower industry.
Well, I had a flower shop. It was in Lumberton, Texas, which is in East Texas, and I had it for 10 years. And we had to end up selling because my husband was still climbing the corporate ladder. So we came to San Antonio and made several moves. I ended up doing craft shows for a living while we were doing our moves and everything. Then finally we ended up right here in Spring Branch, where I, about 12 years ago, took over. I told you I could talk. Took over doing the flowers for church. And when you came in, we had a meeting with you, and you changed us from Flower Ladies to Teresians, because it was the feast of St. Teresa the Little Flower's parents, correct?
Beautiful.
Yes, so we are now the Teresians, and a lot of people would like to be one, and they're more than welcome to come and join us.
Our parish is so blessed to have wonderful flowers on display, not just seasonally, but each and every weekend to enhance the beauty and the aesthetics of our altar and our church. Can you name some of the Teresians who joined this group here at our parish?
I can. At first it was only 4 of us. Myself, Darcy Bowe, Lisa Young, and Lupe Flores. And then we joined with the Liturgy Committee, and we became one. And the Liturgy Committee consisted of, and I may forget 1 or 2, and I'm sorry if I do, but it is Denise, Sharon Petrie, Terry Simmons.
Denise McShane.
Thank you. Sorry, Denise.
We love you, Denise.
Yes. And so we get together and we work together. We do the flowers, they do all the cloths, and we know we have certain colors we have to use for certain times of the year. So I've learned a lot since I've been here doing this, and I think I will brag on us. I think we do a great job.
And what role do the husbands have in the flower ministry?
Well, they come and help on the major holidays. They're good at carrying poinsettias, they're good at carrying rocks, they're also the Easter lilies, which we're coming into the Easter season.
Thank you.
And here we're going to mention, we're selling the Easter lilies, and Rose has put it in the bulletin and online that you can go in and buy the lilies and sponsor for a loved one. So we really do appreciate if you will do that, because it helps pay for all of the lilies, and the church is not out any money.
You know, and it is nice to know also the church always subsidizes, you know, the Teresians, the church subsidizes the Audit Society. The additional funds that come through the Lilies is the Teresians' way of giving back financially to the church. Not that we expect or ask, you know, additional monies for flowers,
Right.
but they choose to utilise the sales of Easter lilies to compensate the church, but in addition, and more importantly, to remember the souls of our loved ones. So we encourage the living who have lost loved ones, especially during COVID, and certainly during this past year, to continue supporting the Teresians in their sales of Easter lilies. Gerry, looking back in the early years of the Easter lilies component, one of the biggest challenges for you ladies is to wait for hours upon hours for delivery. Now, I have struggled with that process. How do we fix that?
I don't know. I have tried, and this for the poinsettias this year, they did give us a time and they did show up. But now I'm not sure how it'll be with the lilies. We have a new salesperson, and I'm hoping she's willing to work with us. All we can do is hope and pray, you know.
Now, a good female friend of your son Shaz, she is in the flower business.
Yes.
Can you tell us about her business in Dripping Springs?
Her parents own a wholesale nursery, and one of them is in Austin and one is in Dallas. And at times when I can't get flowers from Claypack, she helps fill in. And so that has been, you know, a big help through that. And we thank, you know, everyone that helps us, and we thank everyone that brags and says, oh, everything is so beautiful. And so we appreciate the comments. We like to hear more comments if we could. And I'm going to put in a little note. As y'all all know, we are moving. And I'm not going to cry.
And she cries as she says that.
Doris Sebo and Lisa Young will be taking my place.
Beautiful. And
they will do a great job.
beautiful. And when will this transition happen to Dripping Springs, Gerry?
In June.
In June.
In June. Yes.
And it is nice to know that Lisa and Doris, who excel in any project, will be amazing successors and
will do a
amazing
great job.
ambassadors for our church.
Yes.
And we always welcome and applaud not just the existing members of the Teresians, but also opening up to inviting new members who may have joined our parish in the last several weeks or months. If you have an interest in flowers, or even in beautifying our altar, you know, please call Rose Mendes and she will reach out to Doris and Lisa. Do you have a favourite flower, Gerry?
My favorite are lilies. I love lilies. And if you notice, you will see lilies quite often on the altar, which we will be putting some in next week for the Feast of St. Joseph, because he always carried a lily.
Beautiful.
And so we will put that, and you know, a lot of people, Sharon does not like lilies because they smell too much. So, I mean, each one of us has a different, you know, take on everything.
Just like I did not like Ken Petrie's boots on the altar during Holy Week.
No, it was not Ken's.
Who owned those
It was
ugly
Dennis's.
shoes?
Dennis's.
I love you, Dennis, but they are the most ugliest shoes to be ever placed on our altar during Holy Week. And you may remember I had them removed.
Well, they were supposed to look like Jesus's sandals walking in the desert.
Well, Dennis is not Jesus. I love Dennis, but he is not Jesus. Kenna Nickells, you are a young adult. You are a young student. What's it like to be a student and a young adult living through the trying times of COVID?
It's really difficult because you have the situations where if you need money and you're working, you can lose your job at any moment, and it takes forever for you to get back on track, for you to get a job. I feel like this pandemic actually has messed up not only young adults' lives, but everybody's. It's traumatic. We've lost a lot of people, and I feel like we've come together as a family, I guess you could say, to try and make things better. But you will always have that 1% of people that don't care about anybody else.
Your grandma loves flowers. What's your particular interest or hobby in life?
I also love flowers.
Any favourite flower you like in particular?
Sunflowers.
Sunflowers. Why the sunflower?
They're super, like, you look at them, you just feel really happy. They're really yellow. They look full of life. Every time you see them, they look more alive than any other flower that I see.
But Kenna, I have a task for you. You know, in addition to the parish subsidising the flowers for our altar, I would like to include sunflowers. So you can take each single sunflower back to a high school student or a college student whom you socialise with, whom you hang out with, just to let them know what you just said. Each and every time they look at the sunflower, especially in traumatic times, look at the sunflower to give you some semblance of happiness. So we will order, as a parish, sunflowers, and then we will give you sunflowers, as many as you need, and distribute them to all of your peers, so we can try and offer some contribution to giving them a boost. Thank you, audience. Do you see how awesome we are here at St. Joseph? You know, nothing is beyond our limits or limitations. So once again, I thank our live audience who have joined us today from Dripping Springs and from Spring Branch. I also thank our audience who join us on live stream. Please tune in this evening to watch with a glass of wine and enjoy over your wine or your favourite drink the infamous Gerry Nickells and Kenna presenting this wonderful conversation here today. God bless you, God love you, see you next week.